2022 regular meeting of the Burlington Board of Health to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm Dr. Ed Weiner, Chairman of the Burlington Board of Health, and with me tonight is Vice Chair David McSweeney, a member Gail Demore. Remotely, I think Andrea Sheehan, is she on the call?
I don't see her on.
Well, Andrea Sheehan should be joining us, and Mary Beth Welch could not be with us tonight. Also, Susan Lomanel, our Director of Public Health, Michael Green, our Associate Director of Public Health, Samantha Hardy, our Associate Health Inspector, and Recording Secretary Eric Bergeron. Please note that we are live on BCAT and available for appropriate comments and questions through this video technology. And thank you for BCAT for what you do for this community, keeping all of us aware and so well informed. Before we begin, I would like to make an agenda change. I would like to move the plumbing variance discussion above permits this evening. Could I please have a motion to do that?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion by our Vice Chair David McSweeney, second by
Gail
Demore.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I guess I'm not sure how to do this, Director. Do we vote by roll call, even though Andrea Sheen is not yet on, or?
Only if she's on.
Only she, and I do not see her.
Yeah, she's not on yet.
She's not on, okay. So 3-0, Eric. Approval of minutes. We do not have any this evening. Chairman's report. Well, for the Board of Health, summer is here. That means our formal meetings go on summer schedule next meeting. For June, July, and August, we will meet only once, the fourth Tuesday of the month. Everything else that we do to keep Burlington healthy continues as usual. And we are available, and if we need an emergency meeting, we always can have one. If you attended our annual Burlington Board of Health Parks and Recreation Department Health Fair, you witnessed an outstanding program. 50 community agencies, healthcare facilities, and companies provided health information, demonstrations, and offered their opportunities for healthy living. There are so many groups, so many people I need to thank, and I'm going to try. And if I miss anyone, please let me know, and I'll thank you next time. First, the Burlington Board of Health professional staff, especially Susan Luminello, Michael Green, Christine Pollack, Marlene Johnson, Christine Mathis, Samantha Hardy, Sarah Cordomash, Michelle Nico, and Katie Copabiano. The elected board, myself, David, Mary Beth, Andrea, and Gail, thank you all. The Burlington Recreation Department, especially Kelly Lehman and Kristen Gonzalez. Burlington Volunteer Reserve Corps, we couldn't done it without you. You're always there. And our major sponsor, Beth Israel Leahy Hospital and Medical Center. Thank you very much for really fitting a lot of the bill. We thank you very much. You do so much for Burlington. I probably missed a few people. If I have, let me know, and I'll thank you at our next meeting. And as always, we are here to discuss any questions you may have. Our website is a great resource, accessible to everyone, anytime, and most important, as you know, we're always just a phone call away. And now this. I was taken today. My heart goes out to the parents of the 14 children massacred by a gunman in Texas. It also goes to the many kids that were also hurt. And to the and to the family of the teacher who was also killed. This is not my United States. I don't know what's going on, but this really, really hit me. This really touched my heart. I'm going to ask for just a quick moment of silence for all those people. Thank you very much. Okay. Brings me to citizens' time. Is there anybody online who's not part of the agenda who would like to speak? Nobody here? Anybody online?
I don't see anyone raising their hand, and Andrea is now online too.
Andrea, please wave so we can see you.
I'm here, Ed.
Okay.
Sorry for the technical difficulties.
No, I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Applications, 3 Burlington Woods, site plan and special permit, proposed life science building and life science use. Applicant GIETS Burlington 1 LLC. Are you here tonight? Could you please come up to the podium? What does you sit there and please, if you could please sign in, print your name. For the record, so please print.
Is there a plug-in able to present on? If I
You
want
want
to
to present?
If I need to.
You can't unless you send it to me, and then I can bring it up, unless somebody's, if you want to email it to me, I can bring it up.
It's up to you, I mean.
Email boh@burlington.org, and if you want, I'll bring it up.
Okay.
If it's part of your presentation,
It's part of the full package that you might have in currently.
why don't you send it to her? Your names, please?
Michael Manship with Vivo Architecture,
Okay, please, I didn't hear your last name, please.
Manship, Manship.
Joe Imparato with GI Partners.
Okay. Emperato?
Yep. IMPARATO.
And you, sir?
Gregory Lusky with Leggett McCall Properties, representing 3 Burlington Woods,
Okay.
LUSKY.
As you know, your counsel called the Board of Health today and told us that he was unavoidably tied up, and I just want you to know that he did do that. Did you send it?
It's pulling up right now. I'm getting onto my Wi-Fi. You might want to do an introduction while I
Yeah,
pull it
sure.
up, if that's all right.
Members of the board, thank you for having us here tonight to present 3 Burlington Woods. Greg is going to pull up the presentation, but what I could do is just give a quick introduction to GI Partners and myself.
That'd be good.
So GI Partners is a real estate asset management company. We own and operate mission-critical real estate, and that includes data centers, life science, lab, and manufacturing facilities, as well as tech and defense facilities. We operate about 7.5 million square feet, and that includes a development pipeline of about 1 million square feet. One of the things that makes us a little unique and different than a lot of the other companies that are developing life science real estate is that we handle our development in-house. I'm the vice president of development, and I'm from the Boston area. I live here. I've spent most of my career in construction and development. Prior to this, I was with Biomed Realty, and prior to that, I was in construction management here in Boston. So we'll handle that in-house. We will work with our partners on the ground, contractors, architects, consultants. And a little bit about 3 Burlington Woods and what we're planning to do. As Greg will walk you through in a minute.
It's
Okay.
she's just here momentarily.
Just quickly, it's, a 3-story building that is currently as an office use. And we're going to be converting it to, we're intending to convert to a life science use, which will represent about 50-50 lab office split. We will be, as a landlord, the initial construction project will be to install the infrastructure to support life science use. So that'll include robust supply and exhaust air, liquid waste management. We are installing 2 pH neutralization tanks. As the landlord, we will install those, have them certified, and hold the permit with the NWRA for both the tanks. So we'll have the skid inspected once it's installed, and then they'll come back later to do their testing. We'll also install backup power, drainage, loading, and also we'll install a building management system, which will monitor all those critical systems to ensure they're working properly, maintaining pressurizations, things like that. The second phase will be further down the road, and that's when the actual tenants will look to move into the spaces. One of the things that we'll implement as the building landlord is, as they come into the building, we'll basically provide them a tenant design manual as a guide as to how they'll have to manage and develop their space. And that'll include instructions for, how much air they're able to use, how much chilled water, the flow rates for the pH neutralization, and things like that. Additionally, we will include, sort of in the welcome package, the requirements of the Board of Health for Burlington. Additionally, they'll be required to adhere to all state and local and federal guidelines, including CDC or FDA guidelines, whatever sort of relative to their program, as well as OSHA requirements, NFPA. So they'll have to adhere to, pretty stringent standards in addition to Burlington's requirements. So that's a high level of what the project consists of. Greg can kind of give the quick overview, and then Mike can also help answer some of the design
Seen
questions.
all of our regulations, bylaws, we've seen them all. And I assume, you can just ask this question now, you've seen our conditions tonight. Okay, we'll talk about those afterwards.
Yes.
So clearly, Mr. Lusky.
I don't have the presentation.
They're not going through. It's
And maybe one other point that I could add while we pull that up. So, based on the market, based on my experience, what we anticipate is likely going to be BSL-3 users. It seems unlikely that there would be, although it's certainly possible, but given the nature of the market, BSL-3 users are rare, and obviously 4 is prohibited, and that would never really occur given the few facilities that exist in the country. So, they'll be doing cancer therapeutics, mRNA research, that's kind of...
You don't have tenants yet.
We do not yet, no. The project is speculative, which I guess speaks to the confidence and our excitement to work in Burlington, because it is growing, as you know. It's become extremely popular now as companies look to move further out of the Kendall Square core. The suburbs are becoming very popular, the 128 belt specifically, and specifically Burlington. So we're looking forward to it.
While she's waiting, Burlington has become a hub of science. We have approximately 15-plus companies here already. The Broad Institute, which you might have heard, is coming here.
Mhm.
They broke ground just last week.
Mhm.
So this is becoming a very good place for biotech. We welcome biotech. We do have that experience here. We have a very large and very knowledgeable Board of Health, especially our professionals. And so we look forward for you coming.
Are you thinking there's gonna be one tenant in this building, or do you think it's multiple tenants? And do you have experience, does your company have experience in biotechnology? And can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. So, of that, I can get back to you with an exact breakdown of how much of that 7.5 million square feet in our portfolio is life science. But we do. And to answer your first question, right now our sort of strategy is that we are certainly open to the possibility of a single, larger, probably more sophisticated user to take the building. We think the building infrastructure could support that. But at the same time, we're also open to mid-size users that would take, anywhere from 10 to 20 or 30,000 square feet. So nothing's fixed. We'll see who comes along. We obviously don't want to get over our skis and start marketing until we have our approvals in place. But that's the plan, and we will cast a wider net to, be open to different types of companies.
Susan?
Yeah, and I'm not sure what you want, but this is the plan?
That's totally fine.
Okay.
That's a good place to start. So this drawing right now is the representation for the civil drawing, just to show the scope of the work that we have entailed for outside the building. Is very much limited to some improvements along with ADA in front of the building and some additional islands and greenscaping along the way. And as you see, as we're scrolling up here, we're making some improvements to a loading dock area to allow for easier access for the tenants. We're outside of the 100-foot buffer on Concom from those dashed lines that you see there as well. But that's essentially the extent of the scope of work. And I believe in the shaded area, right below that red spot in the middle there is where we're designating any gases. Any questions on this particular slide on the civil?
Do you have any questions?
Not on this slide. I did have a question. I don't know if you want me to wait.
Is that the same?
I don't think we have this one.
This is, so let me just make it smaller.
Is that the one that's blown up?
You don't have this one.
This one we just
Look like what I'm
essentially highlighted in red,
Gotcha.
just to give you better clarity about what was actually being modified in this one. All right, and if you'd like, if you could switch to the other set of drawings.
This one?
Yes, please, thank you. So this is the floor plans, just to give you a high-level overview of where we are for that. So approximately, this original building is 160,000 square feet, give or take. We are making some adjustments in the lower level ground floor where the underground garage is currently. We're actually converting some of that garage space into loading dock area. So there is some expansion in our square footage on that front, but we are only going from current floor area ratio from 0.33 to 0.38 is what our plan is currently. And then we have a series of infills on the other floors as well to increase some square footage there. Other than that, that's essentially this other conversion to a core shell. That's the only other improvements that we're planning for the building. Happy to answer any specific question you might have for that. Susan, you said you might have had a question?
Yeah, so I know we had a subcommittee meeting on this, correct? Did we have a subcommittee meeting on this one?
I don't think so.
No, we did
I
not.
Okay.
don't think so.
We had a meeting this morning with all the
With
department
the
heads.
DCM, yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't have a subcommittee meeting.
Yeah, so I believe there's a condition in there for them to come back to talk about
Yes.
the hazardous material storage area and the neutralization system and all that. So maybe, I don't know if you want them to provide now more details on, I'm just wondering who's gonna be maintaining that neutralization system? Is it all going into, so all the tenants are gonna all be using the same unit, and then it's gonna be maintained by the landlord? Is that the building owner?
So we're prepared
can-
to answer those questions, actually, if you know, Mike, off the top of your head, which
I
drawing
do.
we might want to show, I can show
If you
that.
go to the full base, the lower level plan?
The what plan?
The lower level
Lower
plan.
level plan?
There are, maybe just back up a little bit, there are 9 conditions. And the most important of all of these conditions, number 3. Do you have it
That
in
right
front
there.
of you? And that is prior to construction or renovation in this case, the applicant or property owner must appear at a Board of Health meeting to provide details regarding treatment, management of wastewater, chemical hazardous waste storage, management, outdoor storage of chemicals, and site security measures. Now, we do that because we can look at it now and there's not much there, because it's gonna be an empty. We wanna make sure that everything that you say is in place and we can go before. And it has to be prior to construction, because if we don't like something, when you put it at that period of time, it's better at that point, we say, well, move it there, or why is it there, rather than you put it in place and we say no, and you gotta tear it all down. So please understand, because this is an abstract at this point in time, that you're gonna have to come back when all of your I's need dotting and your T's need crossing, okay? By that time, you'll know who you have as a tenant, and we could talk a little bit about that at that point. Now, each one of your tenants needs to come back here and get a license, a permit. It's not a license, a permit. But that doesn't involve you. What involves you is the fact that there is a lot of things that you're gonna put in ahead of time. We wanna save you headaches and us headaches. So,
But I think they can, you're prepared to address Susan's questions, or do you have
Correct.
any? Yeah, that'd be great.
Correct.
yeah, that would be great.
So this is an overall plan of the lower level. The intention is to add 2 separate pH neutralization rooms with tanks in each. The thinking being, the footprint of the building is somewhat irregular, it's long, so getting piping, obviously all the sanitary piping's got to go to one of those 2 locations, and getting the piping to one single location was going to mean long pipe runs. Difficult to, we don't have a lot of height in that lower level, so we want to make sure we're not creating impassable situations down there. So we're proposing 2 separate pH rooms, one on each wing, both on the north side of the building. One will be a brand-new room, the other one will be a new room within an existing storage area on the left-hand side.
Is this I'm sorry, is this the building, I'm just trying to get acclimated, that has the parking underneath the building?
Correct.
So it's on still.
Yeah, the color kinetics, you see the,
Yeah,
that logo,
okay.
The site
So
slopes.
you're talking about in that
garage?
space, in the
About,
garage?
what we're gonna do is about half of that lower level where there's currently parking under the building,
Right.
we're gonna take away that parking. The site's way over parked.
Yeah.
We're gonna take away some of that parking, and
and just for a visual reference.
Sure.
It's this
So-
part right here, I think.
This half is gonna stay garage, we're gonna put a new location to drive in and out, so two means of access. Alright. If you mind shifting that direction for me. So this other half over here is gonna be where the loading dock entry.
Gotcha.
Oh,
Be-
okay.
And those are the new
Future
rooms that you were talking
mechanical,
Okay.
pH neutralization rooms right
Yep.
here, and then we'll have another one on the opposite side, I believe,
Which is-
and,
yeah.
the existing part, this existing, rooms.
right by column line 4.
Sorry,
Right by column line 4.
I call line 4, so if your frame of reference will be off screen.
And if there's multiple tenants, they all will be using the same neutralization
Yes.
rooms and everything?
And that's a fairly typical
Yeah,
scenario.
no, I know, I'm just making sure that that's the.
Yes,
yeah.
The
correct.
plan.
But 2
They'll
separate
understand
systems.
that.
All of their sanitary piping is gonna have to go through that.
Right.
But 2 separate systems, right?
2 separate systems,
Maintained
correct.
by somebody that
The
you
landlord.
are hiring to do that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so there'll be 2 separate systems, correct, each with its own MWRA permit, which will be in the landlord's name. And, what we do in multi-tenant buildings, sometimes we'll put a sampling port where their sort of sink distribution ties into the main. So if there's ever issues, you can try to sample there to, identify things, so.
Yeah, and typically, each tank has its own monitoring system that's tied to the overall building management system.
At this point, does anyone else have any questions? You've seen the 9 conditions, you agree to the 9 conditions?
Yes.
So could I please have a motion, one way or the other, to approve the application for site plan and special permit approvals, 3 Burlington Woods Drive, proposed life science building and life science use, applicant GI ETS Burlington 1 LLC. Do I have a motion for approval?
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion to approve with the amendment that, just so it's clear, that the 9 conditions are part of that
Aye.
approval.
I have a motion by David McSweeney. Do I have a second?
I second.
Well, we have Ms.
Sorry,
Demore
Andrea.
who seconded the motion. If no other questions, last call. All in favor, and we have to do roll call because we have a remote person. Mr. McSweeney?
Aye.
Ms. Sheehan?
Aye.
Ms. Demore?
Aye.
And I vote aye, 400. Welcome to Burlington.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in, appreciate it.
Thanks for
See you
having us.
again before you start
Yes,
building.
yes.
Absolutely.
Be back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next is discussion, which is 25 Network Drive plumbing variance recommendations. Do we have somebody for that?
Yes, he's online.
He is online. Who is that, please? What is your name?
We can't
We
hear
barely
We
you.
hear
can't
you.
hear you very well.
Still can't hear you, sorry.
Are you on mute?
He's not on mute.
He's definitely not on mute, because you can hear grumblings.
Sir, what is your name?
My name is Sean Crane.
I think he's the architect, Sean Crane, I think he said.
Yes, with Sean Crane.
Sean Crane? If so, wave.
Do you hear me any better now?
Yeah, we can hear you a little bit better now.
All right. If not, I could try hanging up and calling in on the phone.
Oh, that sounds better, I think we can hear you
Much
now.
better.
All right, just give me 30 seconds.
Mr. Crane, if you're not ready, we can come back to you.
Why don't you come back to me? I'm right in the process of dialing in.
We can hear you, though.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you fine, you can go ahead.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, I'm the architect with IPS, representing the fit out for the project for Vericel over on, which is, I can share my screen to show you the plan. So basically, looking for a, okay, can you see my screen now?
We can.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a fit out for the company Vericel. It's a building that I believe they just broke construction over, or just broke ground over on Network Drive. It is a pharmaceutical manufacturing facility. So it's a combination of mostly offices, their corporate offices, as well as what's considered F1 use, which is a light industrial manufacturing facility, as well as they have a small little laboratory in the building, as well as some additional storage areas. We're looking for a variance in the Massachusetts plumbing code. There's a requirement industrial. You need to provide showers at the rate of 1 shower per 15 people. So we're seeking relief on that requirement. The entire manufacturing facility is, it's within a clean suite. All the process is done within biosafety cabinets. So it's a very clean process. You're gowned up as you go in. And as you exit the suite, you continuously degown until you get back to your locker room.
How many people?
How many employees are there?
As Mr. Crane said, so this is for Vericel, and it's a,
I only caught like every third word.
yeah, it's a laboratory area,
Yeah.
and under the state plumbing code, they have to follow for manufacturing. And that kind of like an old code for when people would work in the laboratory area,
Right.
out and need to shower. They no longer need to do that. So instead of having 15 showers outside of the laboratory or clean room area, they're proposing only to have 2. And that would vary the plumbing code.
That's one per gender, is what they're asking.
One per gender?
I believe it's
Yeah,
one
it says that.
gender.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're providing one per gender.
How many employees are there? Do you know?
I don't know
How
how,
many employees Vericel has, Mr. Crane?
Well, that would be located at the facility, I believe is around 200 employees total, but within this suite, I believe it's between 50 to 80 employees at any one time.
How many say?
50 to 80.
80.
50 to 80. Is that enough? I mean, that's the question. I understand. Now, are these showers for safety? Are these showers if they're exposed to something, for instance, a chemical shower? Or are these just a shower to clean up after they work, theoretically?
Yeah, it's a shower to clean up after you work. We are providing safety showers within the suite. We have multiple safety showers.
So the safety showers would be inside.
Inside.
These showers are located outside the room.
So the other question I had was, Vericel is a biotech company. Do these people have to shower before they leave the building?
No, they don't.
No, there are no requirements, so I did have Mike look into that to see if there was anything in the BMBL or the NIH guidelines regarding that, and he couldn't find anything on requirements for showering for the employees.
So there is,
At this level.
at which level is that? Level 2?
BSL2.
BSL 2.
Get up into BSL4, and if you're working with animals.
3. Does that mean if they go to BSL 2 plus or 3, they'll need more showers?
That could be possible if they change the model and they start working with animals at a BSL level 3.
Now, Mr. Crane, I know you're the architect. Did you hear that answer? If they are going to do any work above BSL 2 or have animals, they're going to need more showers. So
They're not doing any work with animals. There's no intent for.
Are they going to be doing any BSL 2 plus or 3?
No, no BSL.
So, okay, I'm willing to go ahead, go along with
Yeah, I
it.
mean, our purview is just the recommendation to the plumbing board, right? But
Is
I am concerned about the growth aspect of, planning for the future, but I guess they're gonna have to figure that out.
Would they
if
put them
guess,
in and
right?
cap them?
I'm sorry?
Well, if they're running lines, couldn't they just put them in and cap them?
Well, the
I
issue
think
is that
that
with
they
the
would have to
space.
change the whole nature of the
Yeah,
work that
that's
they're
what
doing,
Okay.
you know?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna have to solve for it at that time if they go to BSL 3.
But if they go back to, if they decide
Well,
to
I
go.
don't think it's BSL 3, it's animals or BSL 4, so it would be anybody using animals.
So there is no intention for animal research or animal use in this building, in this floor?
Okay.
And if they were gonna house the animals, they would have to make a lot of changes.
A ton of changes.
Ton of changes. Now, you do know, Mr. Crane, that we only make a recommendation. We don't make a decision.
Right. Yeah, so my next step in this process, I have to schedule.
It's the state.
Yeah, so he's already filled out the application with the
Right.
state board. They'll send him a meeting date.
Yep.
I'll send you, if this gets approved, Mr. Crane, a letter that you can bring to that meeting with you, with the state board.
Mhm. Okay.
2 more questions. Mr. Crane, do you think that these showers are going to be used at all?
Probably not. And just based on our experience, we provide a lot of hygienic showers that clients would like, and these days they're very rarely used. We're providing more showers by the bike room because those showers we see tend to get used a lot more with people biking to work.
Provide.
I think
The showers by the left.
you said there's more showers by the
Well, they have the
laboratory, emergency showers?
showers. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we have a bicycle room.
Oh,
With a bunch of showers attached to it. They get
Oh,
used a lot.
okay.
they have a workout area.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve,
Recommend.
the recommendation from the Board of Health, for 25 Network Drive, the plumbing variance
No,
recommendation.
we have no objection.
No objection.
No objection.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Ed.
Okay, Andrew Sheehan seconds it. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Mr. McSweeney?
Aye.
Ms. Sheehan?
Aye.
Mr. Murray?
Aye.
And I vote aye, 4-0-0. We have no objection, Mr. Crane, and you'll
And
get a
you'll
letter
get-
to that effect.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crane.
Okay. Now permits, 20 College Road, keeping of animals, 6 chickens. Would you please?
There is.
Oh, here it is. Mr. Chan?
Yes,
Okay, could you please sign in?
yep,
Please, print so we have.
Sure,
it.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Presenting this will be Associate Health Inspector. Please go ahead. Samantha Hardy, in case we forgot.
Okay, so I went and did the inspection with Mr. Chan over at his property. He's the property owner. We did that in April, and he met all the setbacks. He had enough space in the coop that he actually built himself.
You built that yourself?
I'm
I thought
doing
you bought
myself.
that. It looked brand new and it was all, I thought you.
first
bought
time, so
Wow, it's very
spend my
nice.
time on
it.
it.
Business.
No, no. But quite a bit work, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
It looks nice.
So he met the size requirements for the number of chickens he wants. He met the setbacks from the lot lines. His plans look good, coop's beautiful, and I don't have any objection.
Do we have, you sent out a lot of letters
Yeah.
to abutters.
Yeah, it
Did
was,
any of the butters, no comments whatsoever?
nope, didn't hear anything.
Mr. Chan, why do you want chickens?
I thought it was my physical therapies.
Okay,
Ah,
Not for sale, only few chicken, how many eggs you can get.
yeah.
You know how much I spent on the coop for building it? Like over $600.
wow.
So how many egg I can get for 600?
Now, if you're having 6 chickens, you're gonna get a lot of eggs. You'd be cooking a lot of eggs.
Well,
up.
one chicken, they can have 5 eggs per week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
30 eggs a week.
5, not like a 7, not like a every day,
Oh, yeah.
not in the winter time either.
I got you.
Okay.
Excellent.
I have no objection.
None.
Very nice. Do I have a motion to grant the permit for 20 College Road for the keeping of 6 chickens?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McSweeney. Do I have a second?
I second.
A second by Gail Demore. Any other questions? If not, all in favor? David?
Aye.
Andrea? Gail?
Aye.
And I vote aye. 4-0-0. You have your permit, Mr.
Thank you
Chair.
very much.
Thank you for
Enjoy your
coming.
chickens.
Thank you.
And you know if you get a rooster.
No
you have
rooster.
it. Yeah, all right.
I
I
understand
know, but it's
that.
not a perfect science. Yeah, okay.
Well, rooster kind of too much work.
That's not
They do.
therapy anymore.
Yeah, it's not there. Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, bring us now to permits. Cambridge 4 Burlington Woods Drive Biological Safety Permit. Who is coming up for that?
Hi, my name is Pawan Ghati, and this is my colleague Dr. Kanita Karavai.
Okay. Would you please spell your last name, please?
Yeah, it's Ghati, Ghatty.
And yours, ma'am?
Kanita Karaweg, last name is spelled Karaveg.
Correct.
Karaweg.
Caraweg. Okay, Caraweg. Okay. Who is presenting this? Is going to let Dr. Gotti present first, or?
I can certainly
Please.
lay the groundwork there, Dr. Ed. Cambridge Pharmaceutical, as you know, is going into 4 Burlington Woods Drive, which we have permitted for life science. They will be occupying the first floor in that space, and they'll be sharing it with Protege, who will be on the second floor, and Ultiview, which hasn't come in yet, but they'll be on the 3rd and 4th floors. They are going to be working RNA work with risk group 1 and 2 items, and they will be at biosafety level 2, mostly due to the PAC 293 human cells. We did do a IBC meeting on March 23rd, and the protocol was approved at that time.
Okay.
Are we gonna walk through the,
Yeah, just let me know when you want me to advance.
Okay,
You're-
please, Mr. Gotti, you presenting?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Dr. Gotti's presenting.
All right, thank you very much. First of all, I want to start off by thanking the board for giving us the opportunity to come and present our case for the biosafety permit. Also thank Michael and Susan for helping us out with the forms over the last few months. So thank you very much. So with that, I would like to start by requesting to slide 2, please. So Cambridge, we are a rare disease-focused company, founded in 2012, and we have facilities both in mainland China and in Boston, in the Boston area. We are publicly listed in the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. In fact, we are the first rare disease-focused company to be listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. We already have a few drugs currently marketed, and we have various drugs in the pipeline. We are modality agnostic, so in that we have small molecule drugs, biologics, recombinant proteins, and now we are entering into the AAV gene therapy space. So, so that's a quick overview of our pipeline. While the small molecule and recombinant protein work is primarily done out of our China operations, the US facilities will be focused on gene therapy, on developing gene therapies for rare diseases. With that, I just wanted to also highlight the number of collaborations we have with a number of Boston-based institutions, both companies, universities, as listed there. And in the next slide, digs a bit deeper into our gene therapy specific portfolio, where we are listing out there 2 lead programs there, the first one being for Fabry disease, second one for Pompe, and the remaining 2 are undisclosed at the moment. And we are really excited about the work we're doing. And in the next slide, this is a quick snapshot of the plans for the kind of research we plan on conducting in the Burlington facility. The most important point I want to highlight is the first bullet point there, which is that all the work that we intend to do there is replication incompetent AAV, AAV viruses. So, and the scale, the volume of that we plan on working on are very small volumes, with the largest being a 50-liter bioreactor, and we expect the 50-liter bioreactor to run no more than once a quarter. So, and AAV adeno-associated virus, as you may know, is a risk group 1 biological material, and these are grown in HEK 293 cells, the protocol for which has been described and submitted to the board. In the next slide, I'm happy to pause and dig deeper into any particular aspect here.
Why don't you continue?
Continue, yeah.
Please.
And the kind of biological materials we plan on using in the facility will be the human cell lines, which is the human embryonic kidney, HEK 293 cells, which is the mammalian cell line in which we will grow the HEK, we'll grow the AAV viruses, right? Again, underlining the fact that it's replication incompetent AAV. The second large group of material will be the viral vectors. We will work with commonly known AAVs as well as recombinant AAV. And we also plan, we'll also likely use E. coli to produce plasmids as needed for research. But again, these are non-pathogenic strains. So, in the next slide, this is a very brief description of the facility. It's a 25,000 square foot facility. The lab has been designed to be BSL-2 throughout, and we have key card access to control. Yeah.
One of my questions is, are you going to be using BSL 2 plus at any time?
No.
You are not?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I just want to make that, ask our recording secretary, so please note that somewhere, that they are not going to use 2 plus at all. Thank you.
How many floors in the building are you occupying?
Just one floor, the first floor. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And Protege is in the rest of the building?
Second.
Protege.
They'll be on the second
That is on the
Again, on the
second
second
floor.
Yeah, and then Altoview will
third
take third and fourth.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
good, thank you.
Yeah.
What's
In the floor where we are not sharing the space, with Protege.
Good, thank you.
And that's the floor plan. Thank you. Where the salmon-colored, area at the bottom of the plot, that's the lab area, while the white-colored regions is the office space. Highlighted in orange there is the bio-waste storage areas. And in the next slide we have the, I was hoping, actually, may I request slide 13?
This is the next one?
Slide 13, it's a few slides down, yeah.
Oh,
That just shows the walk path for disposing of the bio-waste, essentially showing that it doesn't go through any areas where people sit or through the break room. So, may I request slide 9? Thank you. So here essentially we're highlighting the steps we are taking to ensure safety in the lab. Of course, we will have adequate training for all the operators in the lab, including documentation of safety procedures, including the emergency action plan, chemical hygiene plan, and also the biosafety and exposure control plan. And all employees will be provided the bloodborne pathogen training and are offered the Hep B vaccine. And in the next slide. So all the personnel working in the lab will be provided protective equipment, including lab coats, safety glasses, etc. Almost there. In the next slide, yeah, so we just wanted to highlight the policies and procedures. It's a snapshot. Of course, key highlights of the policies and procedures that we plan on putting in place. We had our institutional, committee meeting on 23rd of March, the minutes of which were submitted to the board for consideration. I don't want to go through every bullet point there, but just wanted to highlight that we are established company with operations in multiple sites and marketed products, and planning on really establishing and growing our footprint here. In the next slide, we just want to highlight our waste management plan. Solids and sharps will be disposed of appropriately, as appropriate for the kind of work that we do, that we intend to do. And again, as I highlighted earlier, the waste removal path does not go through any offices or carpeted space. More importantly, does not go through the eating space, right, the break room. In the next slide, which is what we went through already, and these are the permits that we are working towards. One of them is already complete, and of course we're here for the Biosafety Permit. In the next slide, we have the existing vendors that we are working with to bring the lab up to code. And in the next slide, which is the last slide.
I just want
That's the
everybody
end.
to know that Cambridge submitted hundreds of pages of backup, and I have read every single one of them. So I know you went through it quickly, but it's all here, and it's very complete. Thank you very much, whoever did it.
Was
It was a teamwork.
Teamwork. I know you're on the Hong Kong exchange, so I don't know if you speak Mandarin, but Hanhao.
No, unfortunately not.
So I won't speak.
Mr. Chair, I mean, these guys are experts. I mean, this is not their first rodeo, so that doesn't mean that we should just be rubber stamping the stuff for sure, but it's great that we're having these types of really competent companies coming into town. Are you done with the safety plans and the emergency action plans? All those are complete?
Yeah, we reviewed,
those?
we reviewed everything to make sure that it was in compliance with what's required under our regulations and with the requirements under of course, the BMBL and the NIH guidelines are part of our regulations. And in those BMBL and NIH guidelines, a lot of it is, procedural stuff that goes through the IBC. So we kind of did a checklist to make sure that we had, everything that was required and that there was no red flags at us with the material that was submitted.
Okay, good.
Any other questions? I have a few.
And when are they anticipating moving in?
So the construction part of it is done.
Yeah.
We are awaiting the equipment to be delivered soon, and it will be on a rolling basis, but we haven't decided on a firm.
And how many employees are going to be here?
So the site is set up to accommodate anywhere between 60 to 75 people, combined with lab and office space.
But they're not full-time housed in Burlington, or are they just using the lab services, or are they full-time employees actually going in every day?
The site is 25,000 square foot, designed to house 75
employees,
yeah.
right?
Office and lab combined.
Yeah. Thank you. Another question.
Okay, any questions?
No, they were answered, I think, with the presentation.
Ms. Sheehan, do you have any questions?
No, I don't either, right?
Okay. Okay, I'll start. Have you ever had any historical issues with any of your sites?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, not your, that's good. I want to ask about the chemical hygiene plan, page 2, in which you list the emergency phone numbers. You do not list the Burlington Board of Health. And since we have an environmental engineer, I would like you please to add on chemical hygiene plan, page 2, please add the Board of Health. You do that in your emergency action plan on page 2 and on page, and in the chemical hygiene plan, I'm trying to think which one it is here. On 62, you have one of these here. You have the Board of Health listed. Would you please add the Board of Health to page 2 of the chemical hygiene plan? I don't think that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You already mentioned the BSL2. I have another question about your biosafety officer. Is there a biosafety officer in the building at all times during work days?
The biosafety officer or the designate?
Designate.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Let me see. That's it. I mean, I've read hundreds of pages here. I've gone through, and it was an outstanding set of documents. Thank you very much. I looked hard and I couldn't find anything. So, does any of our professional staff have any comments, sir?
Just one comment that Mr. Gotti is the principal investigator as well. So he determines the risk level and the biosafety level, and to be approved by the IBC for the protocol that was submitted.
I like this format, by the way, of laying out, the presentation. Yeah, nice. I don't know who did it, but nice job. Nice work.
We've all been working on it.
Yeah.
And I've looked at the emergency action plan on page 62. You have the Board of Health listed, but you didn't have it listed on the other page.
Sorry for the oversight. Yeah.
So it's
Just to be consistent.
just to be consistent and understanding in the chemical plan, we do have an environmental engineer and the hazardous material. So I have no other issues. Anything, our Associate Director of Public Health, who did a lot of work on this.
Nothing for me. I think they did a great job.
Again, it was very well put together. I looked through it with a lot of time. And to that, do I have a motion? Do I have a motion to approve the Canbridge Burlington Woods Drive biological safety permit? Do I have a motion?
I motion.
You make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion by Gail Demore, second by David McSweeney. Any other last call? Any other questions? Any discussion? If not, all in favor. Mr. McSweeney.
Aye.
Ms. Sheehan.
Ms. Sheehan.
Aye.
Mr. Morey.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Well, welcome to Burlington.
Thank you very much.
Very happy you're here.
Yeah, excited that you're coming into the community.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Painless, huh?
Well, you did,
This was painless.
They
The
did
3
all
months
the backwards,
before was a
right?
problem.
God, I couldn't print them all out this time.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right.
All right, so now,
Protege, 4 Burlington Woods Drive, biological safety permit.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good.
so, what is rare?
Please sign in
Yes.
for everybody your name is.
Oh, wait, it isn't.
My name is Robert DeRocher. I'm with Triumvirate Environmental. And we have 2 Protege guests online.
And who do we have online?
Hi everybody, my name is Prasad Panjade.
How do you spell your last name, please?
It's P as in Peter, A as in Apple, N is in Nancy, Z is in Zebra, A is in Apple, D is in David, and E is in Edward. Isn't that very long?
Thank you. Prasad. Okay, Prasad. And whom else?
We also have Rene, RENE, HEIMKE, Rene Hickman.
For the record, I spoke to Mr. Panzati and Mr., I can't pronounce your last name, Hanaki, during the week, and thank you very much. They asked me for my CV, and I provided it for them. Okay.
Who is presenting this?
I'll take this one, Dr. Ed. This is Protege. They're also going into 4 Burlington Woods Drive, our approved life science building, on the 2nd floor, so we are moving our way up. They'll also be occupying about 25,000 square feet in that facility. They will be conducting rDNA work with lentivirus, second generation lentivirus, which would be replication incompetent. The protocol submitted did have them at a risk, or at the biosafety level at a BSL 2+. BSL 2 plus some enhanced goals, which could include extra wraparound fluid resistance gloves, double pairing, extra gloves, disposable sleeves, strict disinfectant protocols in those areas, and additional training and signage. So we did have our IBC meeting on March 23rd with Christine Mathis was there also, and we did approve that protocol.
Is there anybody from Protege who'd like to make a presentation?
Yes, Prasad.
Dr.
Prasad, I
Yes,
know.
sir.
Panzati. As I mentioned to you, I think it's very important that you define as part of your presentation, BSL 2+. We have a number of people
Online,
online.
who said they'd be online, including the fire department, who would like to understand what 2 and 2+ is. I also, to make people aware, I did provide the Board of Health some backup and
That was helpful.
on 2+, but I think that the rest of the community, including the fire department, who may be on, would like to know about 2+. So could you please, thank you.
So, respected Dr. Ed Weiner, honorable board members, and other dignitaries present on this session today. My name is Prasad Panzade, as you can see the first name on that line there. I have been in this pharma industry for over 24 years, serving the patients for their health and safety. Today, I'm representing Protege Incorporation US site, along with my colleague Rene Hickman, Rob DeRosser, and Brandon Leeds. Their titles are given over there, so I'm not going to really repeat them. So first of all, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to do our presentation and to convince you guys what we are bringing to the town of Burlington. With that, next slide, please. So this is the slide about our company. The company was founded in 1997. Currently, we have about 200 employees. 6 employees will work with the biologics after permitting is completed. We operate 4 sites globally. Our scientific management team at Burlington will be consisting of Dr. Annette, Dr. Roland, and myself over there with a mission for research and production. So we will be acting as a commercial research organization for bigger pharmaceutical companies and biotechnological industries that are manufacturing different type of biological products. Our on-site biological agent research is necessary to support these efforts. So for example, the research lab to be operated by the end of second quarter of 2022. Next slide, please. So this slide and the next couple of slides, I would like Rene to walk you guys through so that he can give you a detailed description on what we are exactly doing over there. Rene, take it from here.
Thanks, Prasad. And please excuse my voice. I tested positive for COVID, so it might be a little scratchy. Yeah, I'd like to give a bit more detail about the research that we will be doing at for Burlington Woods. Huh?
I don't think we can control that volume. Yeah, we might be able to turn the TV. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me well?
I'm gonna try turning this up a little bit, so maybe I can.
It's clear, but we have a blower going over here.
Yeah.
Was shut off. It might be.
Go ahead, Renee.
To adjourn.
Okay. So you can hear me well. Can I proceed?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, that's good. Yeah.
Thanks.
Better, yeah.
Basically, the main task in order to start with all our project is the DNA and RNA isolation of the samples that we will be getting from our customers. These samples can be from preclinical or clinical samples and can be either cells, tissue, FFP, so formalin.
We cannot hear you. We cannot hear you.
It's not very clear.
It's not very clear.
Okay, give me a second.
Something in your phone.
I don't know if you can shut that off anymore.
Yeah.
Mr. Rocha, can you explain biosafety level 2+?
I can, yes, within context, yes.
Because we just can't hear you.
Okay. Yeah, let's, with Prasad and Renee's approval, we can jump forward a few slides.
Yeah, please.
So
go
I
ahead.
think there's, so my approach was going to be to talk about the concept of BSL-2+, less about the specific agents that drive the rating, that will be Renee. So I took an excerpt from a good guidebook here that we use internally to educate our own folks about BSL-2+. You can see the excerpt here describes BSL-2+ is a term frequently used to describe laboratories where work with microorganisms is done at BSL-2 with additional practices. Now, the industry description is to use BSL-3 containment principles at BSL-2 labs. You know, in the couple of years I've been doing this, I think that's a bit of a, I mean, that's the industry understanding, but in practice what I see is it better describes if you have BSL-2 containment, but you want to add really any additional control that the site-specific risk assessment justifies, you identify that as BSL-2+, to help with training for people. It differentiates the standard containment that you find at BSL-2 with a branding, so to speak, so that people, you know, the employees understand that something additional is required. The degree of additional containment or controls, it can vary widely. In this case, it's just, as was pointed out, the addition of an extra set of nitrile gloves, so double gloves, which aids in staged decontamination. So you remove the outer gloves first, then remove some additional PPE. Then the last step is to take the second pair of gloves off. It also means the addition of sleeves to allow an extra layer on top of a cotton lab coat. So an alternative to sleeves would be a disposable lab coat, for example. That way you're not single-using cotton lab coats. You're using a small disposable fabric rather than a full disposable lab coat, or, you know, constantly laundering your cotton coats. And then the bib is sort of the same reason, because we outfit folks with cotton lab coats. So the plus is really, first of all, it's not a formally identified category. So in the BMBL or the NIH guidelines, you won't find a definition or a standard where you must institute BSL-2+. It's a voluntary standard, or it's a voluntary designation that really, again, all it really does in practice is to identify for the scientists that they need to be aware of some additional control or additional PPE. The work is done in usually a dedicated room that's called out in our floor plan, again, for just an additional level of control. In my experience with, probably well over 100 different companies, different IBCs and containment, the use of lentivirus is really by far the most common triggering activity, which drives the BSL-2 Plus. I've asked multiple clients, because the use of lentivirus itself really doesn't describe the need for BSL-2 Plus, but it's the payload. So the lentivirus is the train, and what's the train carrying? What's the payload? It's that transgene, or it's whatever work the lentivirus is doing, which really has some of the additional risk, not the lentivirus itself, although even that in literature is a little bit, there's varying opinions on that. But so the designation of BSL-2 Plus really in practice is just an elevated awareness of additional containment for the scientists.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Does the BSL-2 Plus have anything to do with the hose? Or are you working with animals in any way?
No.
No, we will not be working with animals at our site.
Please understand that you are the first in the town. We have many facilities here. Now we're about 15 facilities, biotech facilities, and you're the first to bring up the 2 Plus issue. The question I had begins with the fire department. If there is an emergency within a 2 Plus area, how would the fire department, would they have to be enter with different hazardous safety materials, masks or whatever, if there was an emergency inside a 2 Plus laboratory?
So the answer is really no, but each response has its own. Obviously, every emergency is very unique. It's somewhat of a chaotic situation. But in general, the answer is no. It would be a dedicated room. Fire personnel, show up in their own PPE, and then we would obviously work with the emergency responder to take stock of the specifics of that situation. And in some cases, depending on the release, depending on the event, we would make them aware of the containment level in the room, and if there was a major release of some type, which is not likely in an R&D environment, we would adjust accordingly. That's incredibly important for any emergency response.
To that end, is that room, and I look under that I noticed under section 3D, it says location of signs in accordance with the biosafety and microbiological and biomedical laboratory, section 4, biosafety level 2, and you talk about signage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there signage in a biological safety 2 Plus that says 2 Plus, or does
Yes.
it just say 2?
Says 2 Plus.
There's nowhere in your document does it say 2 Plus, that you have signage that says 2 Plus, anywhere.
Yeah, each lab has its own biosafety designation. It'll be BSL 1, 2, and 2 Plus.
Well, I think you need to change that. I think you need to,
Which document are you looking at, please?
I'm looking for the response to the Board of Health staff request, and you don't mention that, and I don't see it in any of the Protege biosafety and exposure controls that you listed. I see you listed two, but I'm going to ask that you please go back through your document and note that if it's going to be a 2 Plus laboratory, that you designate it 2 Plus. and I'm gonna ask you to go through your document. I didn't see it. That doesn't mean it isn't there. There are hundreds of pages that I went
Yeah,
through.
yeah, understood.
So I would like the signage, I think it's an attachment 2.
Yeah,
In attachment 2, you talk about signage that says 2, but you don't say signage that says 2+ anywhere.
okay.
Just to be consistent.
Just to be consistent and to be safe.
This is in the biosafety plan now?
Biosafety exposure and control
Yeah,
plan.
yeah, okay.
Nowhere does you talk about, on attachment 2, you talk about signage, and there's no signage that says that 2+.
So I will look, I'm looking in Appendix C right now, that's where the signage for that lab would be, but we'll double check it to make sure that it's in there.
Would you please report that back to
Okay.
Mr. Green? I mean, that's pretty innocuous, but I
Yeah.
just want to keep,
No, that's yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah, it's actually,
On the
Yes.
floor plan,
okay.
if you look at, it just has signage indicating BSL2 for all the laboratory doors,
who says I
even
don't
the
read all?
ones with the lentivirus and viral vector tissue culture, so.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It
I
doesn't say
see.
2+ anywhere.
I see. So you're looking at the the presentation, right? Okay. Understood. Yes, we'll make that a change. We'll make
How
that
many
update.
employees are gonna be in this facility?
Prasad, how many employees?
So currently, we have we would be having about 44 at this site by end of this year.
So are they all currently employed? Like, where's your other site in Massachusetts? Are they being moved from another facility?
The other employees are currently employed at our 790, it's in Cambridge, Memorial Drive.
In Cambridge? And do you have,
Yeah.
do you have BSL 2+ in Cambridge as well?
No, this is the additional capability that we are building for this site.
The floor plan as well, that it looks like you're not occupying the full space that you might be subletting. Is that true?
That is correct, yeah. So part of it, like we are right now in the growing phase. So we didn't want it to utilize the entire area. We wanted to sublet little bit of it. But as we grow, eventually we will be taking over the entire area.
So, but I'm concerned. The sublet tenant would be, or who you would allow up there on the same floor space as you, and how the safety protocol would be for that.
And I certainly understand that, but as I said, the entire area has been completely marked. So the sublet area will not be even, their entrances are totally different than the entrance for this particular laboratory. So if you look at this, so that's why I was planning to walk you guys through first the facility layout and then the slides that will describe how we are going to operate throughout that particular area. So can I please walk you through some slides here?
Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to stop it. We kind of got sidetracked on BSL and BSL2 versus 2+. But certainly you can continue on. We have a blower with the air conditioner here, and it's just kind of hard to hear over the WebEx. But feel free, go ahead.
So who are you gonna sublet this to?
We have just advertised it, Dr. Yet we don't know who would come and take that, but we are looking for somebody similar in operation, just like us.
Would this sublet be a laboratory?
Yes, that is correct.
It would be, and if they would still have to come here for a permit,
Absolutely, yeah.
a separate permit. Okay, I think I'll make sure that
We should put that in there.
put that in the,
Yeah, the permit that would be, that they would get tonight would be for the protocols
They
that they
submitted
submitted.
as part of their application.
If
So-
I asked Ms., yeah.
So the new tenant would be requested to come in front of the board from the property owner, who has conditions that any tenant who comes into the life science building has to come get a biological safety permit from.
Is
Yeah,
that
I'm just
true?
worried about
I mean,
separate.
well, I'm worried-
Yeah, because if it's
safety.
some,
Yeah.
And plus, we had a 2+, which we've never dealt with in the town.
And what about what if they decide to put a daycare there? Is
Well,
that,
I don't think they're gonna sublet to a daycare, but I agree with you, right?
I mean, I just,
It's going to be a laboratory space and it is designed to be a laboratory space.
Yeah.
Furnished just like laboratory, there is no difference, so we're just awaiting who will take over that.
Okay, are you comfortable with that, Susan?
Well, I'd like to hear,
Yeah, let's go through the rest of the presentation.
and then I'm also wondering for the sublease space, how are they going to differentiate it? Is there gonna be locks? Is there gonna be,
Yeah, it sounds like
one area to
separated.
the other? I mean, how is that gonna be?
Okay.
Clear delineation.
Yeah, I think let's let him go through.
Sure. I will answer those questions, Susan, when we get to that. Okay, so this is the company overview. As I was explaining, we are just planning to move from 790 Memorial Drive to 4 Burlington Woods on the second floor of the building. The entire floor is about 25,000 square feet area. We do have a secure badge access to the building and our Protege suite. Access to all the labs, including the BSL2, will also be controlled by the badge accesses. So the lab space part of it is, the BSL2, PCR labs, the instrumentation rooms, and support services. That is roughly about 13,750 square feet area. Next slide, please. So this is actually the facility layout, and the gray area to the extreme left is where we are planning to sublease that much portion. The rest, everything that you are seeing in a dark, in a bright color, will be Protegene's access area. Now, there was a question that Susan was asking how we are going to differentiate between the lease area and our area. If you look at the green line there, that's where it is going to be completely closed, and they will be having access to their area by coming directly from the elevator through the main entrance, and then they are going into that area. They have no access to our site of operation at this time. Next slide, please.
So, excuse me, so there will be a separate entrance for
Yes,
them?
Susan. Yes, Susan, yes. So the separate entrance, yeah, where the pointer is right now showing, that's where they will be entering inside, and it's like completely closed, so they don't have any access to this side of the building. So it will act like two separate entities in that case.
I have a question. It's acting as two separate entities. How about airflow? Is that a consideration or should that be a concern or is that not a concern?
Airflows usually are not a concern because airflows are for the entire building, right? So, and again, I mean, Rob can chime in here, but to me, I don't see that there would be any concern about the airflows.
Is that because everything is going to be going through a fume hood?
Yes, that's correct. There will be a HEPA filter controlled fume hoods.
Now, I just want to understand, and I think Mr. DeRoche, you can answer this. The real issue with BSL2 Plus is aerosols and respiratory type of issues. Do the fume hoods capture anything that maybe go up that fume hood?
So all of BSL2, any aerosol, the whole range of BSL2 work, including BSL2 Plus, occurs inside of biosafety cabinets. Biosafety cabinets are filtered with high efficiency particulate air filters, HEPA filters, and that's primary containment for any aerosol generating procedure. To your question about emergency response, if nothing's outside the biosafety cabinets, there's no additional controls needed for Plus versus regular BSL2.
Okay.
And regarding building ventilation at BSL2, negative air is not mandatory, though in good practice, labs these days are generally designed with negative air pressure based on containment level.
Okay.
So that the administration areas are at the highest pressure and all containments are at lower negative pressure.
Okay. That means nothing can get up.
Yep, that's good.
Okay, thank you.
Next slide, please. This slide actually talks about our biosafety level 2 areas, and they are clearly marked with the red lines over there that shows, where and where within the building where we will be working for the BSL2 operations. So if you see here, Rob just explained about the airflow, the blue arrow there, that's the area where it will be a negative pressure airflow that's going on, and then there is no chance that it will take out anything and can mix with the other air in the building. Next slide, Renee. This is the slide that talks about our emergency equipments that are located throughout the building, throughout the floor, and where are the spots that exactly, where in case of emergency, the employee can reach, and then what are the things that they can, go and use over there during the emergency plan. Next one, please. This is the egress route. If you see here, there are two exits for the building in case of emergency. So one is to the left and another, to the other side of the right side evacuation stairwells, and they are clearly marked with the red arrows so that, in case of evacuation, we will follow these practices over there. This slide talks about hazardous waste and chemicals and how we will be storing them. And I think the next slide is basically will be the slide that talks about how we will be transporting once we have stored the wastage at a different locations in the building. Go to the next slide, please. This is the same one again, the storage location, and this is where we will be, we are showing how we will be carrying that to the waste storage location.
I just have one question on that. So you have a service elevator here for Protege. What about for the subleased area? Do they have an elevator there?
This is the common elevator for the entire building as a service elevator. So even the subleased people will also be using the same one.
So will they be walking through your space to get to the elevator?
No. So Renee, can you please? Yeah. So this is how they will be walking. They have a separate door, separate area, so they can walk from there. They don't need to come to our site.
That's a common space.
Sorry, what did you say?
That's a common space.
Okay, it's a common space.
Can you go back 2 slides for a moment? I think it's 2 slides. I apologize.
No problem.
That's not it, right? Do you have to control going back 2 slides?
I don't have it.
Oh, he has control. One more.
What are you looking for?
Are these numbered? Looks
There's
like
10.
10 for one.
Slide 10. It looks like the lab goes into the sublease area.
No, is that slide 10? I can't see this on.
I think
Yeah, it
that's
says
slide 10.
slide 10 on the confidential page 10
You go to the next
on the
one.
lower right.
Or, yeah.
The lab looks like it goes into the sublet. Is that what you're looking at?
No, I was looking at the fire alarm pull system, this one here. The only one that you have access to is in the other unit, sublet.
There's 3 of them there. There's one at each.
My next question, I'm sorry, in the first slide that we showed, there was that whole blacked out section on the left.
Yeah.
Is that section there?
Yes.
And what is that section of blacked out?
The sublet area.
So so I think that's my question, that there is no fire safety pull lever for Protege unless you go into the sublet area?
No.
No, there's some over, if you look just to the right, all the way to the right, and then up, to the top.
That's what I was saying, the blacked out area, I thought was the first slide, that was all the left side.
This is the left blacked out area here.
Yeah, is
But
that
it's
a-
not blacked out here.
Right.
Then there's a fire pull station here.
Yeah, but what was the blacked out designation? What was that designating?
That was designating the sublet area.
That's what I'm saying. So where's Protegene's fire pull safety? That you don't have to go into the sublet area.
Right here?
On the right side, if you look at the right side.
So, point out the service elevator there, so the service elevator. Yeah, so that, see the little door there down to the bottom, see the door, point out the door. So that's the entrance from the subleased area to the Protege area.
To the common area.
I got
By
you.
the
So the
elevator.
prior slide said the gray areas were sublet. It's not those gray areas, it's just that other
That
blacked
blacked out spot.
section.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about
Oh, yeah, not these gray areas.
Not these gray
Yeah,
areas.
yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh,
see what you're saying.
Not these gray areas, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
Those gray areas, are those, that's the lab, are those the labs?
Those are common areas?
well, those are facility common versus suite common.
Gotcha.
So in other words, the middle gray area on this image is really base building. So it isn't part of the suite.
Because you're on the second floor.
So
That's
when you
right.
say suite, you mean the laboratory, so the laboratory areas are the areas that are gonna be locked. So if
Yes.
somebody walks from the subleased area to the other side through that door where the service elevator is, there's gonna be Protege employees and sublease employees in that area. It's just that they won't be able to get to the Protege laboratories because they'll be locked.
That's correct, that's
Right.
correct.
So, but they'll still be able to get onto the Protege side of the building because they
There's
have
another
to get
s-
to the service elevator.
Right, the service elevator's in the base building common area, in that gray area at the top, and that's a common area. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, now, the one thing we haven't done is I have not physically walked the facility. So that always helps me describe drawings better, but what this is illustrating is,
Ronan, can you please give me access so I can walk them through our entrance and then the sublease entrance? That way it will be very clear. How should I get the control? Renee, I lost your slides. I just need the control to the slides,
I gave you control.
but I can't see any slides.
I would say that although we should raise it as a point about the sublet, you know, I would have concerns about subletting that space, so I would think, and I would recommend that before they sign a sublet tenant, that they should come in front of us to make sure that we address our concerns before they sign the lease, because we may not give them a biosafety permit separately.
Sure, we will
Well-
let our management know about that.
Anyone coming.
Whoever's gonna sublease
But
will get their own separate
I
permit.
mean, I understand that, but I would, if I'm just saying, if I were
Oh,
them, I would be
yes,
hesitant in
'cause they-
signing that
Right, right.
lease, that sublet.
Because what if they don't get their permit from you?
Correct.
Yes, yes, that would be in their best interest.
Correct.
Yeah.
absolutely.
yeah. So I don't know if we wanna focus so much on the sublet space.
No, the only concerns I have is I just want to make sure that, you know, these laboratories, that whoever's on the sublet side
Sure.
is not going to have easy access to
Totally
to
agree.
this laboratory area. That's all I'm just want to
But again, it's
confirm. And I'm
hypothetical.
sure that's what the case is. But
Because, you know, where you are seeing the doors, we have access cards, readers on the door. So if you don't have the access card, you cannot enter into this area.
Right, but the thing that I'm saying is you've clearly delineated, this is the sublease area in gray to the left. This is the Protege area to the right. But there's a doorway here that they're gonna have to get through to get to the service elevator to bring their hazardous materials or go down the service elevator or whatever it is that they're doing, deliveries or whatnot. They'll have to go into that area, that's what I'm saying. So they're gonna have to have access.
No. Okay, that's why I wanted the access to this presentation, but for some reason we are not able to. So the square that you are seeing here, the white color square right here is actually a common area, okay? And after that is where this other side door, where Protege door is. And they don't need to come this side, neither the Protege employee needs to go the other side.
So right above that yellow, so the spill kit there, right above the spill kit in the middle of the diagram is two doorways, and those are
Yes,
the.
that's correct. That's Protege's entry, yeah.
So that's where it's gonna be locked for Protege employees only.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to confirm that.
No problem, no problem.
If I may, sorry,
Is he finished, or
I think so.
are you?
The last,
Last thing, yes.
You need to give back the control if I shall go forward.
For some reason, I don't see that I have a control for it.
I'd like to just point out that I found the section in
Section 14 of the Biosafety Plan, which is dedicated to the BSL 2+ or the lentiviral work, and it's 14.7.1.2. Sorry for all the points. Yeah, it's on page 32
14.7
of the Biosafety Plan. It does reference signage for the, in this section, it represents the containment level. So the containment level is specified to be on signage for the BSL2, fundamentally the BSL2 lab, BSL2 plus lab.
And you said on page 20?
Page 32.
Page 32.
Yeah, and we can clarify that further. I just wanted to show you that it's in there.
Yeah, so this is my last slide, which talks about the permits and our timeline. So obviously, the first one is the biological safety, and that's what we are seeking today, your approvals. The rest other, the wastewater is the landlords, and here they have already completed. The special permits, like, the biosafety has came, VSQG are also completed. The HMRF, which is again the Board of Health, this is in progress, and then the building permit is also completed. So once we get today's approval, I think all these permits will be, we call them as complete.
Okay.
What was it, 14.9?
It's you're looking for the section that I just referenced? It's 14.7.1.2, which identifies the containment level, which is what we mean when we say BSL2, BSL2+.
So it's going to ensure the signage is posted at the entrance of the room that includes the following: biohazard warning symbol, containment level, provisions of entry, emergency contact.
So what you're saying is, at some point, it'll be BSL2, and at other times it may be 2+. So you'll change the sign on that.
All signage should be the same.
It's the same.
BSL 2+.
Well, this particular, that one room, the lentiviral room, will always be BSL2+. That will not, unless they go away from.
Is that the only place you're using?
Yes.
Then I think it should be marked 2+.
Yes, it will be.
That particular one, but do
Yeah.
they all have to be labeled 2+?
No.
Okay.
No, they'll all be BSL2, except for that one room, which is covered by this section, which will be BSL2+.
And it'll be marked that way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and this is the provision that ensures that if we follow our plan.
Okay.
Okay.
And that'll be something that will be, in the IBC inspection.
Okay.
Will be looked at.
Okay. Okay, and on page 20 of the emergency action plan,
Yes.
there's a security desk, TBD, and a facility services, 24 hours.
Right.
Will there be a security desk?
Yes, there is going to be a security desk. We discussed this afternoon only, and because we were at the time of application, we were not sure whom we are going to assign this task. So as of this afternoon, we do have assigned somebody.
So it'll be a
24
hours?
A 24-hour number.
It will be 24-hour security.
Okay.
Okay. Number two is the biosafety officer is Renee Heinke. And is there always somebody who is a biosafety officer, or somebody who is delegated as that, or designated, I'm sure, sorry, as that during business hours?
That is correct. So Renee, he's on the call today. He is the one who's designated as a biosafety officer.
Well, so he will be there?
Yeah, he will be there.
On site.
On site?
On site, yes.
But he's not there, okay, and if he's not there, somebody will be designated?
That's correct.
Okay. See this one.
Okay. It says that emergency coordinator is available 24 hours. If I dialed 857-829-3200, I'm not going to get Prasad. I'm going to get a drop down. Is there someone who is available 24/7 in case of an emergency there? I'm asking this of all companies.
Yeah, and that's a very nice question. This morning, and this afternoon rather, we had a meeting, and we are also going to outsource that particular facility with there's a lab called BSL, Biological Safety Laboratories. They will be our outsourced facility management, and they will take care of that as well 24/7.
24 hours, 24/7?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Can you explain that outsource this agency? Like, what are they doing for you?
So we are in the process of hiring an outsourced facility management company. They have this one of the services as security, and I mean, there was like a lot of 10, 12 items they have enlisted in that. And since we are talking about security here,
Oh, I gotcha. Okay, so it's facility management. So
yeah,
maybe IT support, maybe change a light bulb or
for everything and anything that's needed for security.
In case of a fire, they can be reached 24/7.
Yep.
Okay, now, my last question is interesting. I thought it was very interesting that your submittal talked about threats and emergencies, national disasters, suspicious packages, all kinds of threats. Is that just boilerplate, or do you expect, have you had issues with these types of threats before?
Well, I can tell you where this comes from is that we, the OSHA regulation sort of casts a wide net about what might be there, so we tend to include them. I don't think they're driven by
History of suspicious packages with
All I asked.
bioanalytics.
I just thought it was in great detail. But
Yeah. And
I have had all of my questions answered.
Susan and Mike, same thing as the last applicant. Read through all their safety checklists and emergency preparedness, and you're fine with what you
Yeah,
see there.
we're using the same procedure for
Yeah.
all of these applications. And so for both these two, we did the same thing. We did we have a checklist and we went through, made sure we had anything. And the letter that you saw in your materials is when something was missing, we went back and asked for that, and we went through their responses and satisfied with their responses.
Great. Okay.
Is there anybody online? I know that Andrew is online. Andrew, do you have any other questions?
No, not really. I just think it's a lot to take in, to be honest.
Sure is. What did you do on your weekend? It's a lot of work. I know you did it. I know it's a lot of material.
I have a quick question,
Sure.
if I may. I'm just curious about the project registration form, because I asked earlier about animals and other things being used. And under section 4.2, that's why I thought there might be animals. Is it saying that you will be injecting or not?
We will not be. We are the analytical testing laboratories, Susan. So the samples that we will be getting from our customers will be tested in our facility. So we will not be dealing with any kind of animal injections or anything at our site.
So you're creating the injectables for others to use elsewhere?
No.
I think Mr. DeRoche explained to us and to people watching what exactly Protege does.
Well, I would.
Section 4.5 of the registration asks explicitly if any animals will be used under this protocol, and the answer is none. So it references animals in other parts of it, more about the source material, not so much about live animals. But I would like to defer to Protege as far as exactly what they do. That's probably best for them.
And I think that's important. Mr. Panzadi, just in 2 sentences, just to clarify, and I think I know, but Just to clarify, what does Protege do?
We are a outsourced analytical testing laboratory.
People send them materials to, okay, analyze.
Okay.
At the gene level. It was, I think that at the.
That's right.
The best at the gene level.
It's a little confusing because they're talking BSL-2, BSL-1, BSL-2 plus
We're all learning.
all of it.
Right. So,
Is there anybody online who would like to ask a question? Is the Burlington Fire Department online that they may question? No? Okay. I'm satisfied. I think that we have gone through everything.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the biological safety permit for Protege for Burlington Woods Drive.
Do I have a second?
I second.
The second is by Gail Demore. With that, if there any other, I have a motion, a
Just
second.
a comment, Mr. Chair, and I know I made it earlier, but I always want to make sure it's clear to Protege that I'm not, at least off the cuff, a proponent of the sublet thought process. So I would make sure that, or recommend or advise that before you sign a sublet agreement, that company, whoever wants to come into that space, comes here before us first, so we can talk it through. Yeah, great, thank you.
Okay, so motion, a second. Thank you for the comment.
Sure.
Anybody else? You all set, Gail?
Yes.
Andrea, anything else?
Nope, all set.
Okay, professional staff? Nothing. Okay, with that, all in favor? David McSweeney?
Aye.
Andrew Sheehan?
Aye.
Gail Demore?
Aye.
And I vote aye. 4-0-0. Welcome to Burlington. Thank you very much. I want to thank, and I'll use your first names because I'll, Rob DeRosia, Prasad, Panazit, and Renee. I appreciate all of your time. Thank you for coming. And again, we are happy that you're here.
Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
I think the board did a very nice job in preparing for this.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Have a good night, thanks.
Bye.
We had a lot of stuff to read this weekend, a lot of stuff. I agree with you, Andrea. It's overwhelming in some cases because there's so much here. Thank you for doing it, as everybody. Where are
At the end.
we? I mix
Are we
it.
at the end?
Hold on one second, everybody.
All this is for the chickens.
Got a lot of good information.
There you go, right?
I have the agenda right here.
Staff reports. Environmental engineer is not here. We will put that off until our next, do I need a motion for that, or just put that on?
You can just put it
On the next.
Put it on hold.
Associate Health Inspector. Do you have anything to highlight for us?
I guess I'll just mention that Marlene and I went down to visit with the Chatham Health Department, and we did, it was an on-site meeting with our mentors for the retail program standards, and it was a really great meeting. It was 2 days, and we got some great advice and an overview of all the standards, what you need to do to comply, and just a lot of tips on how to plan and move forward. So I think it was very helpful for us to kind of start thinking about what we're going to do in future years moving forward with the retail program standards.
Any questions? I have a question. You did a foodborne illness investigation with an institution in Burlington, and you found 2 violations. Did it warrant closure?
No.
It did not. They were minor.
Yeah, they were just violations that needed to be corrected.
Okay.
So I did a re-inspection and made sure that they were correct.
Okay, and they didn't need to be closed. Thank you very much. Next, Associate Director of Public Health.
You have to approve her
Oh.
report, Mr. Chairman.
You wanna approve
So
it?
moved.
I second.
So moved. Thank you very much. It's been a long night,
Yeah.
everybody. Motion by David Sweeney, second by Gail Demore to approve the Associate Health Inspector's report. All in favor?
Aye.
David Sweeney,
Aye.
Andrew Sheehan,
Aye.
Gail Demore,
Aye.
and I vote aye. 400. Thank you. Associate Director of Public Health, you had a good weekend.
Had a great weekend. It was a
Thank
lot
you.
of fun. I was just going to highlight, we have been in contact with Dr. Shamala Khan with Boston Medical, and she's going to be conducting, I think, 4 separate trainings for our MRC staff, the big one being the psychological first aid training that we're hoping to get on the calendar soon. So that's been fun, kind of reaching out and getting some training we haven't had in a while, I guess. That really fantastic training at a.
Was that the person we had before?
No.
Okay, is it gonna be a day or an evening program? We've had multiple psychological trainings, which have all been outstanding.
It's a day long.
That's a day-long, 8-hour training.
Do we have a date?
We do. I want to say September 21st, but I might be
Okay, it's
wrong.
gonna be in September?
Yeah, it's going to be later, yeah.
Good. Thank you very much. Please watch the holidays and whatever.
Always.
Thank you very much. Any other questions for
No.
Michael Green? I don't have any.
What was the investigation on the pool letter?
Not much of an investigation on that one, actually. We did receive a complaint about a neighbor pool not being maintained, but being a bit out of our purview for a non-commercial, just a residential pool. I did send a letter stating that they could drain it, or they could maintain it, or if wanted to, just cut down on mosquito arborage. If they reach out to the EMCCP or EMMCP, they will actually come treat it for larval and cut down on mosquitoes. So.
Never thought of that, if a pool's just sitting there. It's like harboring.
Then again,
Could
people
be.
have ponds in their yard, right? So
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
not,
like,
it's
but
not
you
a
might treat
public
them.
health violation, it's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, I just thought it was odd, so I was wondering about it. So.
Okay. If there's nothing else, could I have a motion to approve the Associate Director of Public Health report?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. A motion by Andrew Sheehan, second by
second.
David.
I mean, it's
It's a long night. David McSweeney. No other, just questions, all in favor?
Aye.
David McSweeney.
Aye, sorry.
Andrew Sheehan.
Aye.
Gail Demore.
Aye.
And I vote aye, 400. Now we have the Director of Public Health, which includes the health agent and supervisory nurse. So let's take a look at the health agent's report first. Do we have any questions?
No, just that, that one suspected illness through Maven, which was, I thought, kind of weird, right?
we report everything so sometimes they come in to us through Maven,
Yeah,
so they
so
come
that
to
may-
us either way.
Yeah, but
So
how would it get into Maven? They might report it at through
they-
a hospital or something?
They were actually tested and it was confirmed, so like say it's salmonella, if they
Yeah.
would go to their doctor and the
That's
doctor
fine.
would test
Not
it.
fine.
And if it's positive, it comes through Maven, and then it comes to our nurse, and then she interviews them, and if she suspects that, that it may have been from a restaurant, then we have either Marlene or Sam go out and do the inspection. So it either will come through Maven, or it might come through just somebody calling up saying, I think I got sick from this place.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But no confirmed results. We will actually put it into Maven so it can go up to the food protection program. So we use Maven basically both ways.
Okay,
Interesting.
Thank you.
I just have one question. What is FBI policy?
So that's the foodborne illness.
Foodborne illness.
Yeah, and we're working on the policy. That's part of we've always had a policy, foodborne illness policy, but it's something that we're re-looking at as part of the grant materials, going over all our protocols.
If there's nothing, any other questions on the health agent, we can move on to the supervisory nurse. Does anyone have any questions? No questions? I have one question. Was this the first human granulocytic anaplasmosis case that we have seen here?
I couldn't tell you offhand, but so I do the reports on those every year for the annual report.
Yes.
And I would say, I doubt it's the first, but it's not something that's common.
It's a tick-borne, for people, it's a tick-borne disease, very much like Lyme disease. It is not common, but it's found in Middlesex County as well as the others. And I think there was somewhere around 100 or so each year of these cases. So if you have nothing to do, look it up.
Lyme disease being much more common.
Much more common, but it is a tick-borne illness that is found throughout Massachusetts. I have no other questions, except to say that Christine Pollock did a nice job also on the health fair. Which brings us to the boss, Susan Lomanel, Director of Public Health. Does anyone have any questions?
Just a couple of things on the health fair. So we went through the raffle tickets, and we had a little less than 200 raffle tickets of people signing up for them. So based on that, and just figuring that, everybody may not have gotten a raffle ticket, that we probably had about maybe over 200 people coming through. It seemed like there was a lot. In past years, that's probably around what we got, but then we had people there for the fit crawl that probably may not have come over for the raffles and things like that. So, if we had to estimate, maybe between 200 and 250 people who came through the health fair. So
Great.
I loved that it was outside this year. And I think I told you, it seemed like we had more vendors, but you said it's the same number of vendors.
It was about the same, yeah.
Maybe it was just the way it was set up, I don't know, but it just seemed like there was more vendors there. But I love that it was outside. And I can't tell you how many, and I get sporadic people say, oh, the health fair is good, healthcare is good. I had like 3 people, not they were there, it was, later in the day or the next day that came up and said, I went to the health fair and I couldn't believe how good it was. There was such great information, particularly around the vendor that had you can do a swap for the I forget what you call it, like the wheelchairs and the walkers.
the Freemasons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. They didn't know it existed, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just great community service. So I thought it worked out great, and I loved it being outside. I'm sure it posed problems for you, but
Yeah, when you do something new, it's always, it's always like, we're always whenever we do anything and we go back, we can find ways to improve it. So Mike and I have gone through that. We're gonna continue to go through it and just see what we can do next year to make it easier for us and to improve it as well. So we're sending out a survey to people whose email we have, those attendees from the raffle tickets, to try to get feedback from the public. We're sending it out to the volunteers as well as the exhibitors to get feedback from everybody. And then, we'll use what our staff has said, and try to tweak it to improve on next year.
Yeah, great. And I love that we had the rec department there too, doing I thought that was great.
Co-sponsored, they did a lot. They were really good.
I thought it was good.
The MC was such a good-looking guy. Everybody mentioned that. And that was me. But it was outstanding, and so many people thanked me, and I know they thanked you, and everyone else thanked you, everyone else who was there, and I just think it was a wonderful experience for the community. It really was, and I think there were more than 250 people.
Yeah, I mean, it just, Yeah.
People just came and just didn't sign up or whatever, just came from all different directions. But it was an outstanding program, and thank you both. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for an outstanding, and people got an idea what we did.
Yeah, and I think it had a good social media presence too.
Yeah.
Because I've had a couple people reach out from social media saying, oh, health fair was great. They posted a picture of Sam, she was the.
Oh, wow.
I saw things on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yo, you did? Oh, good, yeah.
The vendors were posting stuff too.
Oh, yeah, great.
Yeah.
Neil Pandit, who was a medical student.
Yeah,
Also outstanding photographer, took a lot of pictures, and he has agreed, he has so graciously agreed to allow us to post some of them, and I'll post a few if you want to post a few.
I did today, so I posted a few of his pictures. I put a post up thanking him for being our photographer.
Yes.
He's also our
Nice
MRC
kid, nice
volunteer.
guy.
Well,
Yeah.
Westwood,
Oh, gotcha.
and very, he and his family and all of the Burlington volunteer people were just outstanding, so.
One other question, Susan, on, so I was back out to, I had to go to the UPS store, that's the reason why I was there last week. And I was out there today.
Yeah.
And it's awful, so I don't know if
Yeah.
you sent them a letter or not for
I
this,
did.
Wendy's parking lot. in
Yep.
Burlington.
Yeah, so I did, I sent them an appearance letter, and they said that they would be here, and at the June meeting.
Okay.
There, as you'll see, I'm gonna do a timeline to prepare for that meeting and give you some backup material of what's been going back and forth. But part of the issue of what they're saying is that, well, there's nothing that we can do because of the height of Vine Brook. That Vine Brook has risen, and now it's, we can't, it's not draining. Our drainage basin isn't draining because there's too much water over in Vine Brook area.
Get it, but that
So-
doesn't mean that they don't have to fix it.
So, DPW, John Sanchez, and he had come out with me, and initially, when we had done an inspection, to talk to them about it, and we were having a conversation on site with their engineer who had said that same thing to us. And John actually, and Tom, the town engineer, they took some measurements, and they were not seeing that. Like you said, though, even if they were, it still has to be fixed. But I talked to John today, and either him or Tom is also gonna attend that meeting so that they can speak to those types of issues if they get brought up regarding the level of Vine Brook.
Should we also notify Concom, because that is conservation land back in there, but also, I mean, it's, the owner of the property opened up that land, so now the wetlands is flowing into the parking lot versus vice versa.
Right.
Right, so.
Well, so the thing with the Concom is that there is an order of conditions on the property, and that was the route that I was trying to go to get information on the drainage system,
Right.
at least getting it inspected. And Concom had reached out to them regarding the order of conditions to get the inspection of the drainage, which was required, actually, I think it was yearly, and they hadn't gotten anything. But we still haven't gotten anything. I talked to Mary Holbrook of Brixmore today, and I just said that to her, if you have anything on the inspection of the drainage system, please send it to us. She said she was gonna look for that, or that they were gonna be doing it in the future, but, one possibility, and I don't know what the problem is, that's really kind of them to figure out what it is, but, what if the parking lot sank and, it's not draining properly because of that, or it's the piping underneath or something, the catch basin area is blocked or something like that, which I just wanted to see if they had actually done those types of inspections. And that is what's required under the order of conditions. I can certainly ask a Concom representative to come here. I'm sure Larry would be willing to do that, but I don't know what, how they enforce their order of conditions.
Should we, so and second, or on top of that, in addition to, there is trash floating in there, in the pool of water, like it's a health hazard as well. Certainly it's a breeding area for mosquitoes, not that
It's a nuisance,
It's
yeah.
definitely a nuisance.
Yeah.
would it be, do you think, just thinking off the cuff here, would it be beneficial to have like a subcommittee meeting with them first before kind of them coming here? And then we can bring in DPW and Concom and that? I'll let you think about it or go with your
I
direction.
mean, I can do that if you want, or we could just
I
go
don't know, I'm
with the
just
regular
thinking,
meeting. Yeah,
They're
I mean,
gonna show up here and they're gonna be defensive, right? But
yeah, or you may wanna hear what they have to say, and then,
Have a
because there's
working
gonna be, I think, it's gonna have to be future work on it to
Sure.
try to get where we need to go.
Could we have
So
the
we may have to have a subcommittee meeting after that June meeting.
that makes
We
sense.
have the DPW here that night when they come in June.
I talked to John today, and he said either he would be here or Tom Hayes would be here.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
There is an upper parking, or a parking lot that's adjacent to that section, that's, it runs along the conservation land there, almost parallel to the new DPW building. That's probably 2 feet above that particular section. So I think it's a grade thing, or wasn't installed maybe correctly, but I'm not a civil engineer, so.
Yeah, that, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would, there's that drainage basin where
Yes.
it's supposed to all drain into that drainage
Right.
basin and then go into the,
Into the wetlands.
into
Is
the
there
wet-
some type of stormwater management system under there, or is it
well,
just?
that's what I was trying to find out. Is there any pipes that need to be cleaned out, or is it blocked somehow, or, what's going on there? I really don't think that it's been fully investigated enough for anybody to say what it is,
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Andrea? Gail? I don't have any more. Oh, actually, one last question. Did we hear anything about the grants yet?
Not yet.
Do I have a motion to approve the Director of Public Health report, which includes the health agent and the supervisory nurse?
Motion to approve.
I have motion by Andrea Sheehan,
Second.
second by David McSweeney. All in favor? Andrea?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Thank you. And that's about it. Again, we had a wonderful weekend, great program. Just to remind everybody, we're going into summer session, so we're only going to meet next month. And we always dress down for that meeting. We don't have to dress formally as we always do. And so with that, have a wonderful end of May, Memorial Day, everybody. Be safe and take care. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by David, second
Second.
by Gail. All in favor? Andrea?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Gail?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Good night, everybody.
Good night.